Most online coaches are losing their clients for three easily avoidable reasons. Here's what those three reasons are and exactly how to fix them. My name is Cody McBroom. I'm the founder and CEO of seven-figure online fitness and nutrition coaching company, Tailored Coaching Method. And by the end of this video, you will discover everything that you are doing wrong, causing your clients to quit coaching with you before they reach their goals, and the exact framework we use to ensure that 90+% of our clients stick with the coaching program month after month. Now, let's get into the reasons why your clients are quitting too soon. And the first one is adherence. And what we have found after years and years of working with clients, working with coaches, developing the team, and really monitoring key metric points to see and correlate what is going to lead to the best results possible long-term as a business, we have found that it boils down to one or multiple of these three components. And the first one we see primarily outside of our company, because I am proud to say that my company and my whole staff does this very well, is that your clients just don't trust you. And I can't believe I have to say this, but unfortunately I do have to say this, and it pisses a lot of people off, but you probably don't look like a trainer, and that's an issue. If you look in the mirror and you know damn well you don't look like an inspiring trainer, and that does not mean you need to be like tectonic plates in your chest, super jacked, roided out, none of that. I'm talking about somebody can look at you and go, that person works out. You need that effect. You need people to see you in public and go, they look healthy, they look strong. I bet they could run really far or really fast or jump really high or deadlift a lot of weight. And if you don't, that is an issue, because clients are going to be attracted to people who look like they can help them. Perception is reality, and perception is a key point in both sales and marketing. But one of the biggest things it does is it develops a layer of trust right out the gate. When you have a new client starting with you, it is a very likely chance that you don't really know them and they don't really know you. It's probably not somebody you grew up with or is close to you, so there's no reason for them to trust you. Most of the time, the best reason somebody has to trust you is because somebody else referred them and they trust that person. You live in their local area and they don't even realize it, but subconsciously that helps them trust you. Or you have something in common with them. I've had people apply for coaching and said the reason they did was because I'm covered in tattoos and I used to skateboard when I was growing up. And they think that's pretty cool. And I agree, it is pretty cool, but that doesn't make me a great coach for that person. However, it's relatable, and relatability creates trust. Most of the clients that work with you and want to start working with you don't have those key factors. They could live across the country, they could have nothing in common with you, and they're probably not always gonna come from a referral or word of mouth. So how do you build trust? The simplest way is to look the part. They want to know that you practice what you preach and walk the walk. Because if you do it and it's your method you use to look the way you do and have the result you have, there's a good chance it's going to work for them too. It also provides them with a sense of integrity, because if you are expecting them to invest in you as a coach and you've never hired a coach before, or you aren't currently working with a coach and expressing that to them, sharing with them your experiences by being coached as well, how are you going to expect that they're going to trust you when you say you need a coach? If you're not committed to going to the gym on a very regular basis every single week, how are you going to expect that they're going to fully commit to the gym on a regular basis? If you don't eat healthy and follow a diet plan, how do you expect them to commit to a diet plan and follow healthy eating practices? And lastly, if you're never challenging yourself or getting uncomfortable, how are you going to expect to push them into challenges in their discomfort zone without any pushback? Better yet, how are you going to have something to rebuttal with when they do give you pushback because they don't want to step out of their comfort zone? You will have no legs to stand on because you are not walking the walk. So plain and simple, you need to practice what you preach. You need to hire a coach, or at least have evidence that you've done so before. You need to be practicing the same kind of things that you're expecting them to practice and commit to. And you should be challenging yourself so that you are hopping over similar hurdles and learning valuable lessons that can then be translated to them. And you can really lean into this next key point that a lot of people screw up on time after time. And that is transparency with your struggles and the struggles your clients have had before them. See, they want to know that they're not alone. More than anything, they just want to know that, especially when times get hard during their journey. And there is nothing more helpful and powerful to the human brain than stories and anecdotes to help a client have a breakthrough and have something to model their practices after to reach success. Not to mention, it's going to instill a serious level of self-belief into them, because what creates self-belief? Proof. What gives proof? Results. How do you get results? Practicing what you preach and being good at what you do. So if somebody looks at you and you have the proof, your body is proof, your clients' bodies are proof. And when they express their struggles, you're able to relay stories and anecdotes of your own struggles and your client struggles that are similar to them, as well as how your methods of coaching got them over those hurdles onto the path that leads them to success. This is what creates a level of belief in their minds that is faith-like. And what I mean by faith-like is they don't have to see it to believe it. You are proof that it worked. The method doesn't have to make sense to them all the time, but if they know that it worked because you are living proof and your clients' stories that you can share with them also provide that proof, they will have a far greater sense of trust, which leads to better adherence day after day. And so what we're really trying to do here is be vulnerable, be transparent and authentic, and share stories of struggle. What this also does is opens up them to being more vulnerable in their weekly check-ins. And one of the greatest key indicators to know if a client is not adhering well or going to be successful is if they're not checking in on a regular basis. But I don't blame the client for that. A lot of coaches do. A lot of coaches will point the finger at the client, use stupid excuses that they usually give them, like, I'm too busy, the form is too complex, I don't have time for a call, whatever it is. But the reality is, it doesn't matter if it's an email, if it's a form, if it's a text message, if it's a call, if it's a Loom, if it's a Zoom video. What matters is that your client's checking in on a weekly basis. And if they have nothing to hide, they will do that because they are investing in your coaching and they want the result. However, if they don't feel like they can have an open conversation and share with you how they messed up last week because they feel judged, they feel insecure, and they don't want to be vulnerable with you in that client-coach conversation, they are going to skip their check-ins. And so what we've done over the years is we have looked specifically at the percentage of check-ins that a coach on our staff gets. The higher that percentage is, the better the success of the coach is, the client is, the more referrals and word of mouth we get, and the better reviews we get, and the more transformations we end up having. And so we made this a key metric, which I'm going to share on my 5 bullet points at the end because it's such a key factor. But in summary, the big key ticket here is you have to be transparent and vulnerable with your clients in your conversations and inside of your content. Challenge yourself to be more open and honest with your clients and extract stories from past clients to share with them so they don't feel alone in their journey. And finally, the third and more strategic or technical reason why your clients aren't adhering to the plan is because your systems are too complex or they lack structure, which can be two completely different ends of the spectrum. But the point is your systems suck and they can't follow them on a consistent basis. And again, this is more on the strategic side of coaching, which is actually one of the least common issues most online coaches face, because surprisingly, people will invest a lot of money in softwares and systems and completely geek out over this stuff well before they build their own body or decide to have a deep conversation with their clients. But that's besides the point. The point here is if you have systems that are too complicated and difficult to figure out, your clients are going to associate your coaching with difficulty and tedious tasks, which is going to inevitably lead to them dreading the process of doing the work that is required for getting the result. Now, on the other hand, if you lack systems and you have next to no structure, they are literally going to be confused as to what they're even paying you for to begin with, because they don't have anything tangible to say, I am investing in him or her and this system that leads me to here. These are the boxes I got to check off. These are the forms I got to fill out. This is the app I got to use. They need something tangible to point at as to where their money is going. And that's what actually holds them accountable and provides you with data to look back on and point to them and show them this is why it's not working. This is what we're going to adjust. This is how we're going to progress forward. So bringing it all together, you need simple systems that create structured flexibility. This is what is going to allow them to adhere to the plan consistently over the long haul. Reason number 2 your clients are quitting too early is because they lack clarity. Straight up, your fat loss client who said they want to lose 20 pounds does not care if they lose 20 pounds. In fact, I have proof of this through surveys where clients have actually lost the weight that they said they wanted to lose, but they said they had a bad experience or they didn't actually reach their goal. They were disappointed in the progress they made, leaving us completely confused, only to find out that the coach didn't dig deep enough to find out what their ultimate goal was, which is part of our process now because we understand we need to interview a person to pull out the ultimate goal that they might not even have clarity on to begin with, unless we ask them the right questions. For example, they don't want to lose 20 pounds. They want their spouse to look at them like they used to. Or they want to stop having to try on 14 different outfits before going out to dinner because nothing looks good on them. They want to feel great in the first thing they put on. Or maybe they want to care less about the angle a photo was taken on or whether or not they see it before it gets posted on Instagram because they're confident in how they look regardless of the angle, regardless of the camera, regardless of the lighting, and regardless of who sees it. And what this really boils down to is fat loss transformations are desired by clients for a feeling that they are chasing, not for a number on the scale or a specific measurement around their waist. And sometimes that's hard for them to articulate, and it's your job as a coach to help them find that. And this might seem obvious to you. Maybe you're watching this and saying, duh, everybody needs to find their why. But then I'd ask, why are your clients so focused on the scale? We track scale weight too, but our clients aren't obsessing over it. And when they do obsess over it, it's in the beginning stages, and we have a process and a system to remove that obsession and teach them what really matters and help them believe that what really matters is actually what matters. And that is life-changing for these people. So don't gloss over this thinking this some cheesy hipster find your why kind of thing. This is serious, and this is one of the key indicators that helps somebody actually stick to the process and get to their end goal. And if you establish this, they're far less likely to quit before they reach that goal because that goal is an anchor to them. They actually give a shit about it, and it means more to them than what they wrote on a piece of paper. And so how do you even do this? First, you need to establish their core values and personal standards. And no, this doesn't go beyond your scope of practice. You're not a life coach, you're a training and nutrition coach. But if you're gonna help change somebody's life, you have to talk about life-changing shit. This helps them discover what truly matters to them, helps them identify exactly how they want to show up for themselves and for others. And it gives them a moral compass that helps them create the version of themselves they actually want to become. Next, you need to connect the dots for them with what their weight loss goal is and these personal values, standards, and the version of themselves they're trying to create. Because unless you answer journal prompts or you have somebody like a coach questioning you, you are very rarely going to identify exactly how weight loss is going to significantly change your life as a spouse, as a parent, as a friend, as an entrepreneur, as an employee, as a coach, as a teacher, as a student, as a whatever. People want to work towards something bigger than them. And when you help them identify how this is going to transform them on a deeper level, and that's going to expand into their environment and the closest people around them, they will be hooked, they will be bought in, and they will be less likely to fall off because they have clarity on why they're doing what they're doing and why they're paying you every month. And lastly, you need to reaffirm this by reviewing this every single week with them. Don't just set some targets, develop some core values, and then not talk about it anymore. Review this every month, review this every week. Have a reminder in their check-in, in their tracker, in their app, whatever you use. Make sure that this is at the forefront of their brain constantly so that they stay on this path and they continue moving towards their goal with those values in mind so that they don't lose clarity. Because so many people create clarity and then they remove the accountability, which is this review and reaffirm process that reminds them and provides them affirmations as to why they can do it and accomplish it and be the way they want to be on a regular basis. And if you don't have that piece, you lose the accountability, and what was very clear becomes blurry once again. And the third and final reason is that you don't have a proper exit strategy for your clients. And it leaves them thinking that the way you're dieting to lose the weight and get to the goal is a forever thing. And yes, there's the common phrase, if you can't stick with it for more than 30 days, you shouldn't do it at all. And I agree with that. But at the same time, if you're in a calorie deficit or you're pushing your clients to lose a lot of weight and really get after it, it shouldn't be like that forever. There's nothing wrong with following a diet that is temporary. In fact, people get better results, and there's research to prove this. Be more aggressive in the initial stage. Push them, challenge them, get them to see results immediately. And when you do that, they're going to be far more successful. But we also have to have a way to get them away from that, because the reality is they don't want to track forever. They can't be in a deficit forever, and they want to have more flexibility for their social life at some point, because they can't feel like they lack balance forever. They can do it for a small period of time, but not forever. And most coaches forget to have this conversation on day one. In this first week of coaching, you should tell them this is not a forever thing. We will transition you out of tracking on MyFitnessPal and weighing your food and doing the cardio. You will have to do some cardio to maintain health. You will have to do some strength training to keep building muscle if that's your goal, or maintain the muscle you have. You have to continue eating healthy. That's part of life, but we are not on a fat loss diet forever. And I'm going to identify that from the get-go, because that provides them a sense of light at the end of the tunnel. Most clients feel like they're walking in the dark because as soon as they start the diet, they have no idea when it ends. So if you don't clearly map this out for them and provide an exit strategy at the end, your clients are going to quit well before they get to their goal, because they feel hopeless and as if they're going to be doing this forever. So first, you need to create an exit strategy for your clients to go through at the end of their coaching. When they reach their goal, you should have a way to transition them away from tracking, away from the tedious methodical plans, and more into a intuitive, but let's say intentional, because nobody can intuitively eat. I intuitively want Ben & Jerry's and beer all the time. That's not going to keep me lean. But if we teach them to be more intentional and make the right decisions, they don't need tracking. They don't need the scale. They don't need MyFitnessPal. They don't need any of that stuff. But it only works if you have a system. So create an exit strategy for your clients. Next, you need to make sure you have that established so that you can explain it in the early stages of their coaching. Like I said before, if you are not explaining this in the beginning of their coaching relationship with you, they will continue down the path feeling like they're walking in the dark. So explain it in the beginning so they know that this is coming at some point, and it gives them a sense of hope, which allows them to adhere long term. And finally, you need to have benchmarks along the way, which helps them assess their readiness to remove the bumpers and provides them with the proof that they need in order to believe fully that they will get to the part in the stage in this journey where they do not need to track constantly or weigh their food constantly. And when you have these milestones and benchmarks set up along the entire journey, it is a consistent and constant and regular reminder that they are moving in the right direction. Okay, so your clients are leaving your coaching program with you too soon. They haven't reached the goal. Therefore, you don't have testimonials, you don't have referrals and results, and you don't have a business that is sustainably growing with a good churn rate, which is the rate at which your clients are leaving. Your retention is high if you have a good churn rate. That's not you if you're watching this video. Or maybe you just want to improve it. Either way, we just reviewed the 3 reasons why your clients are actually leaving. It's not software, it's not tech, it's not your sales process, your prices, any of that. It's your coaching. And it comes down to their ability to adhere, your ability to help them create clarity, and a way to create an exit strategy that allows them to see that this is not a forever thing. Now, how do we do this? Well, when I decided to create this video, I knew I needed to pull real, applicable reasons and ways that you can fix this problem. And it boiled down to 5 key things. I'm gonna call this my 5-point retention repair method. And it's actually really simple. And I promise you, do these 5 things and your business will grow month after month. This isn't gonna directly increase your lead gen or your sales, although when you do these 5 things, I promise you, you'll get more leads and you'll be able to sell easier because you'll gain more trust. But this is to ensure that you're delivering a good service to the people who already invest, which is priority number 1. Point number 1, start your own transformation and document the process. If you've already had a transformation, document more. And even if you get crappy engagement or no views on your videos on social media, your clients will see it and they will respect you and trust you way more because of it. Number 2, create your own client library. This is where you're gonna start recording stories and really just kind of piling on all the anecdotal evidence you have from your own experiences and your own transformation and that of your client. There's so many conversations you have as a coach that you are forgetting to write down, to make notes from, to save, to store away, and then later use with new clients to help them not feel alone, provide them a sense of hope, establish more belief, and then eventually know that they're going to plow through any roadblocks they embark because you have established a greater sense of belief in them through these stories and anecdotes. Now, if you're struggling to acquire these anecdotes and these stories, or you haven't been coaching for very long, here's one strategic tactic you can do to make sure that you are recording these stories and you're gathering more data from clients. Take your existing update form process where you have your questions and then identify what your KPIs are. KPIs for a client will be their weight, their adherence, their biofeedback, how many days a week they went to the gym, the things that you really have to have them fill out every week, no matter what. Then have a rotation of questions that you can cycle in and out. Because much like personal training, if you've ever worked with somebody in person, you can throw out a cue and a cue and a cue and another cue, and then finally they improve their squat form while doing it right in front of you. Because that one thing you said in that final cue that you threw out, it clicked and resonated with them. This is how questions work. And if you're not changing the questions on a regular basis, for us, that's every single week, you're missing out on getting somebody to open up and really start to be vulnerable with you or discover things that they would not have discovered if they were answering the same question every single week. This allows you to build up that client story library, but also establishes more trust with them in that process because it exposes both of you to being more vulnerable in your discussions. And lastly, a quick pro tip: if you really want to hack this system, buy a bunch of those card games that have icebreakers and conversation starters and couples things, and change the questions to be framed from a coach to a client, because it is difficult to think of good questions at times, and this could be an easy way to pull out question after question after question and then tweak it just slightly to be framed properly for a client situation. Number 3, get technical and strategic with this. Number 3 is about your systems. You need to learn how to develop systems that simplify the process for the end user, streamline data for you to use as a coach, and strip away all the extra fluff while keeping as much of this as possible centralized to one place instead of spread across 5 different softwares or apps or tracking systems. Number 4, begin to use some kind of personality typing test or interviewing process to help your clients identify their core values and their personal standards. This is a huge bonus and value add that most coaches don't do, but is a game changer. And we have seen so much more success with clients when we got to this level, a deep level of having conversations about their personal values and morals as a human being. That creates a bond and creates a level of certainty in them for their goal that is unmatched. And more important than anything, this builds their internal accountability, because now they have a set of expectations and standards for themselves to follow that they're thinking about 24/7, whether you're in a conversation or right there with them or not. And last but not least, create a simple but effective exit strategy. The reality is that 99% of people do not want to track macros for the rest of their life. There are some data-driven people who are more analytical or high-performing athletes that love the numbers, and they might track macros for a really long time. But 99% of people who hire an online coach to lose body fat do not want to track macros or use a food scale or use a MyFitnessPal app forever. They want to make things simple, and they don't want to have to do anything to sustain the result. And that's what they're after. They don't want a goal accomplished for a short period of time, like a wedding, get lean for the wedding and gain the weight back. Nobody wants that. They want to lose that weight and they want to keep it off for good. You need to be able to confidently say you have a system that allows them to use this as a GPS. It'll help you sell them on the front end, because most people don't want to do this. And sometimes they had bad experiences with it. So they give pushback in the sales call because they're dreading the thought of tracking macros and weighing their food. However, when you have a system like this, you can share with them, hey, you won't have to do this forever. In fact, we're going to use this for as little time as possible. I want to do this to help you build awareness, identify where we're going wrong and is stopping you from losing weight, and then have a system that is proven based on scientific principles to lose the weight as fast as possible. And once we understand those principles and I have been able to educate you, you will know how to use them without the tools like MyFitnessPal or a food scale, while still being able to lose weight or sustain the weight you lost. When you do that, the sale is easier and the result lasts longer. You need to have an exit strategy in place. To finish up, I just want to encourage all the online coaches to truly look deeply into their business. Try to find the holes, identify what is going wrong, ask your clients questions, ask your coaches questions, look through your systems, hire a mentor, do whatever you need to do to identify the problems. Look specifically for these 3 reasons that your clients might be quitting too soon, and then implement the 5 points that we have used as our retention repair method that has worked consistently year after year over the course of building Tailored Coaching Method for the last 8 years. If you're a coach, you like this kind of content and information, give this video a like, comment below with any questions you may have, and make sure you subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be creating way more content specifically for online coaches who want to grow their business and impact more people around the world.